Hello my fellow degenerates, my name is Billy and welcome to the Avian Channel's review of My Bullet Is My Lover's latest update. Chapter 1 Episode 4, the finale of this chapter. Now, as some of you are aware, this is an update review, so things tend to be a little bit different and significantly shorter than my usual reviews. So if you haven't played the game yet, I'd recommend checking out my original review, as this will give information about the game overall. And not only that, this video may contain some spoilers from the episodes prior to the update. So, how does this update fare then? Well, overall it's more of the same from Nichan. Good looking renders, good sound effects, and good music. And not only that, great story. We have 2 loot scenes in this update, one with our roommate, Sky, and then we finally have a full scene with the one and only, and a lot of people's best girl, Moon. The bulk of the loot is put in with Moon, however the scene with Sky is good, but it's more there just for the loot rather than being relevant to the actual plot. It's one that can be skipped, and as far as I'm aware, it doesn't actually have a significance to the actual plot itself. But since the quality of the audio and the visuals are about the same, which is good, I'll mainly focus on the story and the girls in regards to this update. And speaking of upcoming events, this is where it all goes down. Everything the game has been working up to so far all comes to a head in this episode, and personally, I think it's a great payoff. We discover some secrets about the MC and what's really going on with his father. We have a nice dive into Moon's backstory, and Moon is also the main focus of this update. As she is such an interesting character, it's great to see her actually getting some more attention. However, it looks like with this update, Nichan's focus on main girl has shifted and has now become Moon. It seems as though she's supposed to be canon best girl, and for me, this kinda came out of left field. A lot of girls do have their time in the spotlight throughout the story, but it feels like in the end it was all meant just to be for Moon. And this brings me back to something I mentioned in my previous review for this game. The romance and the character emotions run far too deep for it to be a harem game. And again, I understand why it's a harem, and this is not a complaint. But I personally feel this game could have done so much more with the girls if it wasn't for being a harem. It has some great characters, and when one of them takes the spotlight, it makes me feel like everything we said and did with the other girls just goes out of the window though. You confess your love to Gwen just to chase your long lost childhood sweetheart M, and then you ignore her just to spend some time with Ayn, just then to drop her for Moon. It feels like the lack of consequences takes away from the seriousness of what the story has become. And I wouldn't say it makes the game worse, but it really stops it living up to its full potential. It just feels the relationships are just too serious for a harem game. But on the same note, there are some great relationships in the game. Other than this though, it is a great update with about 3 to 4 hours worth of content. The story continues down this crazy path it's marked out for itself, and it is really fun. Shit's going crazy and I'm down for it. Raids on mafia compounds, super soldiers fighting, and some hella good mahjong with the girls, what's not to love? At this point, it's totally jumped the rails on what I thought it was going to be from the start of the game, and I love it. It makes me wonder if it was Nichan's plan from the start, or at one point did he look down a rabbit hole and think, okay, let's chase a white rabbit. Either way, it worked. I also think Nichan may have seen my last review and heard how I pronounced some of the names wrong, because this time the game actually tells us how to pronounce the name of a new character. However, I'm still going to pronounce it wrong, so this is Wuffy, the girl from Moon's story. If you are someone who prefers to wait for the games to be complete before jumping in, this game still has a full chapter left with several episodes. However, it is now still a great time to jump in. The overarching story for the most part is complete, and the upcoming chapter is mainly going to be supposedly focusing on individual characters. I personally kind of see it like a DLC for the game, additional content to wrap up the character stories, whereas the main story is pretty much complete. So if you're looking for an emotional ride with plenty of mystery, action and plot twists, this game is definitely one to jump into. And this update doesn't disappoint either. But now I do want to mention Best Girl, and as this is an update review, we don't usually do the usual Best Girl spiel. But with this update, as the Best Girl changed. Previously I chose Ayn. Once we dove more into her character, I really liked the way it was heading. But with this update, we have very little interaction with girls other than Moon. So with that, does Moon take the spotlight this time? And I'd still have to say no, Ayn is still my best girl. Now don't get me wrong, Moon is an amazing character and she is really interesting, but I feel like you have no choice in this matter with the update. So I would have to stick with Ayn, but Moon definitely would be second now, as we've seen a lot more of her. In fact, actually, if Nichan ever wanted to go into doing action kind of orientated games, I'd love to see one based on the numbers and their time in the military. Maybe you could choose how you wanted to kit them out and choose who you wanted to do the mission and dive more into their part of the story. Go from being an adult visual novel to being an actual action game, it'd be awesome. Overall though, this is a great game and it is also a great update, and it's definitely a good time to jump on board, as what we've got now altogether is basically a well-rounded and pretty much complete story. So if you are one of the people who has been waiting for it to be complete, I'd say just jump in now. My Bully Is My Lover has to be one of my favourite AVNs, and it really went down a path I did not expect.